How do they get it? I'm sorry? No, I believe that LexisNexis has an exclusive license to the Wall Street Journal as it relates to getting it into lawyers.
For lawyers, for Lexis, and for a non-legal customer through Factiva, through the Wall Street Journal.
Right. But again, there's the distribution models that your own company has picked goes through and decides for what professional groups they're going to allow it to be open accessed versus what they're going to port a distribution channel and they're going to say, that's my maximum way to get value. I'm going to put it through that company.
I would just suggest, in answer to your question, it's not an either or. You know, you want to have a terminal, but there are customers of yours, much like the 5 media companies we signed last year, who came to us not because they wanted to do a hackathon or because they wanted to be open, is they said, we're getting phone calls from our biggest customers, the Procter & Gamble's, the Pepsi's, these Gillette's, and they're asking for access to our APIs. It's a customer need that you're putting out there and you're fulfilling, that's all. It's not a scheme of distribution, it's a reality. And in 2 years, we'll have 5 panels on APIs at this conference, I have no doubt. My one prediction.
John?
Hi, John Blossom. I come at this from the perspective of somebody who used to work for Quotron and Reuters and sold and developed real-time APIs. And I understand where Lou is coming from 100%. Bloomberg stole a march by sussing out the workflow. They owned the workflow for a large part of that market segment, whereas other companies came along with APIs and they owned a lot of desktops but didn't necessarily own the brand value for the workflow that Bloomberg did. So isn't the challenge in part to use APIs to reinvent your brand value in a changing market? And you know, how do you see the API being able to shift the point of where your brand resonates to the point where you keep yourself from being commoditized? Any thoughts?
I think that's a perfect statement. I wouldn't add on to it that what you articulated, APIs are an extension and enhancement of your brand. It's a great point.
Yeah, the other point is, okay, Bloomberg and Thomson Reuters, they figured out the workflow of the end user, knowledge worker. But some other publishers, again, we are still figuring out the right, even though people are using your content, we are still figuring out, okay, the specific workflow where the content is going to be integrated in that workflow. So if P&G is coming to us saying that, okay, I want to have access to your content because I'm using another solution, yeah, we should be open to that and let P&G use our content through whatever service we have. It can be web service, or if they want to use our APIs, they can use our APIs. But the issue right now that everyone is challenged is how we are going to figure out the workflow of the end users. And it's not easy. It's not easy, and that's what we are saying, that, okay, the end users, the community knows their problems, knows how to integrate, they know what the problem is, and we believe that they are in the best position to solve that problem. Again, from the scientific community, again, the whole science is about sharing, collaborating together. For me, when I talk with my colleagues, I say applications or web solutions are going to be new content in the future, because that's the way that we are going to enrich and add value to the content, and that's the way we are going to find the right workflow, how we can integrate our content in that workflow.
But also, I don't want to take the 100% position that we never have our content in our customers, given to our customer in a different way. A lot of law firms ask to have select articles go into their law firm portal. And we give the teaser, they can get in there, they can see it, but then all of the work has to be done within our environment. So even us, we're balancing it. I mean, it's what I don't see, it's not an either or for me either. It's a matter of degree, and I think we're gonna be at one end of the spectrum, and I think some other content providers are gonna be at the other.
Yeah. So we have one last question.
Hi, Rich Kreisman. I'm a consultant based in San Francisco, and I work both with publishers who are looking for distribution as well as software companies who talk to publishers. And I'm curious, the question really is for Raphael and Drew. I think listening to you guys that pricing, which isn't something the information industry, my experience, excels at, is one of the barriers here and one of the issues. And Raphael, give us some insight into the pricing conversations that have occurred at Elsevier around the API and making your data available. I think that customers on the other end, they usually expect pricing to be a little different on an API than a closed product, and that's where some of the conversations I see can break down.
Correct.
So
we started this initiative almost a year ago with the whole API initiative, and what we did, we built an application marketplace for scientists. They are coming in, they are using our APIs and full text content, and they are building solutions. So today, where we are, all the applications are built within our framework. So if you are creating an application, that application is served within our platform. Today, we are not charging anything for API usage as long as you are building an application within our framework. But this year, we are going to, revisiting the whole API strategy, and then we are going to look at, okay, if you want to use our API outside of our framework, then there's going to be a pricing model for that. But right now, we are not charging for the developers who are building an application within our framework.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. The commercialization of APIs is a new space in terms of the pricing metrics. And back to our first bucket analogy, right? It's easy to sell the 5-gallon bucket when you've been selling it for many years and you know what the market will bear. When you're moving to a flow model where you're giving access layers to, you could do it one of two ways. This is what we see a lot of clients in information services do. You can go thin and wide. That is, you can access a wide range of content through our API, but it's thin. You can't do it in excessive volume. As you go past that volume layer and the API triggers, hey, the calls to that API have exceeded the freemium, that's the perfect time for that next level of monetization. It's either subscription or another kind of pay per use. And so go back to that cake analogy. You know what to charge for a cake, the cake is made. When you want to charge flour, you go by weight. When you want to charge sugar, you go by weight. So the pricing of APIs is a new space. A lot of companies are on the forefront of innovating. But I would tell you that will likely be a subject for the coming year. How do companies monetize that layer and think about flow valuation and pricing versus fixed product and terminal pricing?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, everybody, thank you for being part of this.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you.